Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening, everyone. First tonight, there has been a major surge in COVID cases across Tasmania overnight, with the state seeing its biggest daily jump. Almost 1,500 new infections reported as sweeping changes to testing requirements come into effect.
They're quickly becoming the nation's hottest commodity, and rapid antigen tests will now be even more important for infected Tasmanians.
For people with symptoms or those who are close contacts, these tests will be available for free, just as the PCR tests are free.
As of 7 o'clock last night, the rats are the primary tool to detect COVID in the community.
If you have a positive rat, go to the website, register your details, and that will kick off the public health and clinical process that you need to be part of.
The move towards at-home swabs comes as the state edges closer to the 1,500 a day caseload.
We'll be standing up rapid antigen test distribution sites at the Silver Dome in Launceston and the Sports Centre in Ulverston to complement our major sites in Rugby and My State Arena.
The Premier remaining confident in the ability to cope.
Yesterday in the south alone, on a day when we've had record PCR testing of 5,000 tests through the labs, we also handed out in the south alone nearly 10,000 rapid antigen tests.
Warning that case numbers won't peak for a number of weeks.
The other reason why close contacts are quite high at the moment is because of the quite active social lives of many people in their 20s and 30s. Encouraged
by a low hospitalisation rate and no evidence of transmission in health settings.
Only has 3 people in it being treated for COVID. It's been ready to flex up to around 400 people being admitted.
Currently we have 163 healthcare workers testing COVID positive.
Although the community's oldest population aren't being spared, 20 aged care facilities caught up in the chaos.
About 2/3 of those 20 facilities have got exposure situations where they're monitoring actively for cases because they've had an infected staff member.
While rapid antigen tests will become a vital diagnostic tool in the fight against COVID, there's still the capacity for around 5,000 Tasmanians a day to get a PCR swab. 90,000 additional rapid antigen kits are due to arrive on Sunday, but Labor isn't convinced.
No, I don't have confidence that the Premier has taken the steps he needs to take to bring in the number of rat tests that we will need in coming months.
Greens leader Cassie O'Connor taking her stance a step further.
Close the border temporarily, bring some restrictions back in to slow the spread.
The Premier's message clear.
In terms of Omicron, there is no way that border closures would keep this out of the state. We need to deal with it.
Grace Evans, 7 Tasmanian News.
The fire at Launceston's Holman Clinic forced the postponement of radiation treatment today. A switchboard blaze broke out around 2 this morning. The plant room and equipment used for treatment planning affected. Patient radiation treatments will resume on Monday. The blaze causing $350,000 damage. Meanwhile, a resident of a Pipers River home has been left without a roof over their head after fire tore through their property last night. The 2-storey house collapsed as crews battled to stop 2 nearby sheds from also going up in flames.
This 2-storey home destroyed. Now the tin roof and memories all that are left.
The 2 layers of the house, the 2-storey house, have come down on top of one another. So now we are painstakingly with BA operators basically crawling around trying to get underneath that tin to put that fire out.
No one was home when the blaze ignited.
A passerby, as we understand it, has seen the fire and rung 000.
Crews from Pipers River, Lilydale, Hillwood and Georgetown all deployed to fight the blaze. Crews have managed to prevent 2 neighbouring sheds from catching alight, but high winds have hampered firefighting efforts. Investigators determining the fire was caused by flammable objects near a wood heater. Elizabeth O'Neill, 7 Tasmania News.
Police have released the name of Pedestrian who died in a crash near Brighton on Wednesday night. 37-year-old Sarah Catherine Johnson of Mowbray was walking north on the Midland Highway around 10 o'clock when she was struck by a car. A teenager behind the wheel and 2 passengers weren't injured. Investigations into the crash are ongoing and a report will be prepared for the coroner. Jury trials in the Supreme Court have been suspended as COVID case numbers put pressure on the legal system. Tasmania's Chief Justice expects the changes will be in place until at least mid-March. The move has been largely supported by the state's lawyers, but many still have concerns about the impact of delays.
What we would like to see is a use of judge-only trials, but secondly, remitting more matters back to the Magistrates Court to be dealt with there so that they don't clog up the Supreme Court list.
The risk of COVID exposure and possible isolation requirements for jurors is behind the decision. A further announcement about the recommencement of trials is expected in late February. Well, parts of the state are bracing for thunderstorms as well as heavy rain and damaging winds. Regions in the west and south are expected to be lashed by wild weather. A Bellreeve pharmacy has been inundated with ankle-deep water. Roads in the central Highlands flooded after significant rainfall in the area. The heaviest fall has been at Grey, more than 280 millimetres. Jackie will have more details on the state's forecast and warnings later in the bulletin this evening. Steamfest is being cancelled for this year. COVID-wary organisers are scrapping the popular steam engine festival, which was set to bring together the largest collection of steamrollers ever seen in Tasmania. The event has been running for 28 years, although it's hoped Steamfest will be start up again next year.
Big changes to the Hurricane squad. Matthew Wade is taking personal leave from the side and will miss tomorrow's match against the Brisbane Heat. Peter Hanscom will step up as captain while Ben McDermott will wear the gloves. The Canes are desperate to lift their game after a howler against the Adelaide Strikers.
We had quite a strong conversation with them after the last game because that wasn't acceptable, and we actually had almost our strongest batting group in there, really.
English imports Harry Brook and Jordan Thompson are still out of the squad after coming into contact with a COVID case, although they've both returned negative test results. Tigers bowler Gai Bell and Queensland paceman Will Sanders are in the squad and will potentially make their debuts in purple. Alpine Wolf has torn up Turk Warrior's unbeaten record in the Tasmanian Guineas at Elwick. The pair was on equal footing at the turn, but the Barry Campbell-trained Alpine Wolf sprinted away in the last 100 metres to break the hot favourites' 8-0 record.
Turk Warrior's not going to reach him. This is the mouth-watering clash we waited for, and probably the result a lot of people saw. Alpine Wolf over the 1,600 metres wins. Turk Warrior 3 lengths away second.
Alpine Wolf was paying $2.70 for the win. The 3-year-old gelding is the first stakes winner for Armidale Stud's Alpine Eagle. And the Cadbury Marathon is on this weekend, so for our Friday flashback, we're taking a look at one of the event's champion runners. Colin Oliver won 5 times from 5 starts, making him the Cadbury King. Cadbury's heyday in the 60s saw a whopping 500 office staff and 1,000 factory workers toil in the Claremont site.
Try Cadbury's new caramel whip. New caramel whip.
Later, the toot was replaced with a... to herald the birth of the Cadbury Marathon, which always drew healthy interest, and there was one name which kept coming up.
Out on the road, and reigning state champion Colin Oliver made his way to the front, his mind on his record of 2 hours 23.59.
A local legend on the running circuit, Colin Oliver would win in 95, 97 and 98. Before backing up in 2003 and 2004, 5 wins from 5 starts. Oliver always had the upper hand on fellow Tasmanian Tim Sloan over the gruelling 42-kilometre distance.
I wasn't expecting today to have a win or anything like that. I was just going out for a hard training spin.
We could be seeing a new Cadbury champion on Sunday. Jai Rowe Banks has been mentored by marathon great Robert De Castella under a special program for Indigenous athletes. Funnily enough, the Huon Valley-born Jai wasn't so keen on running before coming under De Castella's wing.
People will know that I don't really like running that much. I was not a runner. I've become one of those smug people who's having a bad day, I might go for a run and I'll feel a bit better.
She's now smashing personal bests across the country. It's been a rocky road for organisers. COVID has snapped numbers back to around 1,500 people, down from a peak of 2,500 2 years ago.
all the magic and buzz of the Cadbury Marathon will still be here for 2022, just with a few less people.
As for Dee Costella's advice,
The best piece of advice he gave me, which will fit well with this track, is to run fast up hills so you can run slow afterwards or cruise down the hill. But running is the most simplest thing that you can do. It's just one foot after another.
and after 42 Ks of it, everyone will be saying,
I want Cadbury, I want Cadbury, I want Cadbury Dairy Milk with a drop and a half of that fresh full green milk.
and I'm off for a glass and a half of ale, Kim. See you in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, off on holidays, you enjoy it. I'll take the glass and a half of the chocolate though, thank you very much.
Good evening. 27 was the state's top today in Hobart, Launceston 26, 21 in Devonport and 19 in Burnie. Flinders Island and Strawn 25, 20 in Lyowini and Smithton 24. On the close-up shows cloudy conditions over most of Tasmania. Further out, an area of cloud is seen over the Queensland coast with isolated thunderstorms over the tropical north. Tomorrow shows a high moving southwest of Tasmania while a trough sits about the north of the state. South to southwesterly winds tomorrow, 15 to 25 knots, swells up to 3 metres in the west and south and up to 1 metre in the north. A strong wind warning is current for Banks Strait, Franklin Sound and Flinders Island. A severe thunderstorm warning for heavy rainfall for the upper Derwent Valley, Central Plateau and parts of western, southeast, northwest coast and Midlands forecast districts. And a flood warning for the South Esk, Macquarie, North Esk, Meander and Mersey rivers, with a flood watch for the northwest, North Huon, Derwent and southeast catchments. Tomorrow's forecast now, Hobart and Oatland 17, Maydena a shower or two. In the north, Launceston 25, showers in Devonport, Lyowini 18. Burnie and Strawn tomorrow 21, Marrawall partly cloudy. St Helens and Orford expecting a shower or two and 20 in Swansea. The UV forecast is extreme 12s across the state. Looking ahead to the 3-day forecast now, Sunday showers about the north and west, mostly fine elsewhere. Monday showers with northeast to northwest winds, and Tuesday showers less likely about the west. Capital cities 34 and sunny in Perth tomorrow, Adelaide partly cloudy and 34 in Darwin. And currently Hobart showers and 19, Launceston 21 and Devonport cloudy and 19. That's all in weather, Kim.
Thanks very much, Jackie. Well, finally tonight, a fledgling swallow has had the ride of its life after leaving its nest for the first time. The whirly bird was perched on this weather instrument, enjoying the view of Penstock Lagoon when the breeze increased. The little swallow held on tightly as it began spinning quite quickly, as you can see. A person nearby stopped the spinning and the bird jumped onto a waiting finger held out in front of it. The swallow was in good spirits, but probably won't repeat its merry-go-round experience. And that is all your news for this Friday night. Louise will be with you over the weekend. Thanks for your company this week. Good night.